Hey guys, welcome to Production Music Live. My name is Francois. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the style of artists like Black Coffee and Rampa, so Afro House. But let's first play the track and then go through it one by one. And it's a very interesting style. It's very percussive. So in this video, I want to go through an Ableton project file here. It's a fully arranged track, a bit more than 6 minutes long. It's part of our percussive Afro House pack, which contains 3 Ableton template files and a sample pack with loops, like hi-hat loops, melodic loops. That's the one we're using here, and many more, and also shaker loops. Presets for Ableton only instruments, like for example, analog here. This is a bass preset we're playing here. And MIDI files are also part of this pack, so bass lines and so on. And we are going to take a quick look at this Ableton project here, and we are going to walk through the main elements of this little part here and see what type of elements do we need to create this Afro House type loop feeling here. So I'm going to get started with this area, and I'm going to work from top to bottom through the elements. And we are going to solo our kick first, and that's where we're starting. It's a kick loaded up into a simpler device and played with a MIDI track. And it's one of those kicks that sounds a bit more like a live kick, so not too electronic. A bit of noise on top. And we're adding even a transient on top of it as well. That transient sounds like this. All together. So this is our bass kick line here. And then we have a sub kick below it, which goes. And there we are already at our rhythmic idea. So the rhythmic idea is we're playing stuff right on the kick and also something with a bit less velocity right 1/16th note behind the kick. So this is sort of repeating here. It's like ba-dum, 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 bum, and then ba-dum, bum, and ba-dum, ba-dum. That's kind of the idea of the rhythm of this track, and it's quite different from melodic techno rhythms or something like that. So you just have this kick sample here, and that one is a bit shorter, and it's also sidechained to our main kick. Okay, and below that we have a bass line, which is recorded and sampled. Also has this special real bass attack feeling here. And this one is also playing right on the kick or on the note right on the 16th note right behind the kick. So we have ba-dum, 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 da-dum. So this is our groove pattern. That's the basic groove idea here. And now we are using a snare pattern that's kind of used in older Black Coffee tracks. And that it's not the snare in the snare position, but it's playing in the 4th 16th note here, and then in the offbeat hi-hat position, and in one actual snare or clap position. And right there we have this driving rhythm already, and we have a bit of a drums room around that snare here, so very short decay time. And then we also have an echo playing here for a bit of delay, but very short delay times, and then they're kind of diffusing with 38% of feedback here. So you're creating a real nice room effect. 70 milliseconds left and right. And now we have this super funky bass line on top of it, played out with analog, and it comes in one of those preset devices here, which is an Ableton rack with an Ableton synth and then Ableton effects right behind it. Drag and drop that into your project, and you can get started using those also macro-controlled preset files. Let's play it here. It's not playing all the time. This was a result of a jam session where, 32 bars were jammed, and it's layered with this other element here. And that's what I meant before when I said, like, lots of the melodic elements in this type of style could be played with very percussive sounds as well. You also will sort of mix your percussive elements and your drum elements a bit louder than usual. Okay, so I'm taking the whole group here. And now we add in a bunch of elements from this group, so snare. What's also interesting, this sound here, adding clave or clave, even if it says snare here and that hi-hat is muted. Rhythmically, what are we doing here? We are playing these two 16th notes in the bass, badam, badadam, and we're kind of taking that into account when setting this pattern here. So we're also playing the first two 16th notes here. So it's not an arbitrary pattern. It's kind of taking into account the rhythmical element we already have, but not taking it too mathematically and too seriously. And you can also see we have a little bit of swing applied on this one with this swing here, 16th note swing. And if we were to commit this one, I can actually quickly get rid of this and just commit it to this pattern. Let's take a look at what it is doing. Yeah, so it's not the hardest swing. It's not super hard applied, but you can see it's actually moved a little bit to the back here. I'm going and taking it back. That's what's going on. So it sounds a bit more natural that way. And then we have these hi-hats here. And this pattern, again, is taking into account what we're already playing. So it's always badam. And then we're not playing this note here. We're leaving room because this would kind of mess a little bit with our groove if we were to play this note here as well. Let's actually play this solo quickly. Okay, what else do we have here? We have this drum rack. What are we playing here? Conga. So this typically driving pattern here, we play it together with our kick. And it's kind of answering to our snare sound as well. And these patterns haven't really been added according to some like minute formula. It's also sometimes if you add something like that in, you're just trying to find something that grooves nicely with all the other elements together. If we look at this shaker compared to this hi-hat, for example, we have a lot less swing on the hi-hat and much more swing on the shaker. That thing seems really off at times, but this is also, if you were to apply your grooves to certain elements, you would put them more on shakers than on the hi-hats, because with the shakers, it feels much more natural if that's kind of swingy and off at times. With the hi-hats, kind of weird. So be careful there, but put a lot of that on the shaker and you're still good to go. So what else do we have here? I'm leaving these out for a second and we are taking a look at these tom layers. So we have, again, this is also applying to our basic groove here. The first two 16th notes. And at times we have a longer tom playing along. So we have budum, 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 and then budum. And this pattern, for example, has been created with the Electron Octatrack and generating some tom sounds based on probability. So we have. And on top we have another tom layer. Also with this echo technique here. And this one is playing a higher octave. And below that we have a noise with one of those noise tools. It's also part of the presets here, done with operator. And we are playing eighth notes here. And we also have a wooden percussion loop. And you can see sometimes that thing is turned on and sometimes it's turned off. It was also one of those things where we don't need it all the time. So if you're working with full loops, that's sometimes a good idea. Don't have all of them run through all the time. Switch them off at times to leave some room for other elements as well. A top loop here. There's our clap sound. It's also heavily panned. Sometimes we have more information on the left channel. You can see the right one here is more quiet, and then it's moving around like auto panned like this. Okay, we have a chord hit here. Super typical. It's also part of a preset that comes with this project and this full Afro house production kit. And you have sample selectors here. That's actually a sampler with different chord samples, and you can select different chords. It's like these typical chord hits that are being used in this type of music a lot. And towards the end of this pattern, we are adding this tone, the Afro bell. And that one sounds super nice together with our low end here. Okay, and we have this pluck element, like a pick guitar or something like that. Also a preset that comes with the pack, and I think there's another one here. So it's the same two notes, and then we are adding G up here and another E down here. And then it's being filtered in over time. So in general, summing up, we have quite an organic sounding kick sound with a little bit of a transient. Can even sound a little dirty here, no problem. And then we are adding quite a clean sub to give that initial low end for the rhythm. And then we have a bass line down here that's heavily focusing on the first two 16th notes. And we're taking this bass groove into account when creating all our other groove elements. And so we have that quite dry, sticky snare. We have these clave elements. We have shakers. We have tom elements playing the same pattern, almost like the bass, with a little bit of variation here towards the end of every second bar. And another tom element, noises as well. Some wooden percussion. Then a chord hit. And then in order to give it a little bit of paddy atmosphere, that pluck here works almost like a pad, but it's still plucky and a percussive feeling. Notice, like, other than that, we don't have any pads in here because all these elements are more percussive focused. Ah, yeah, and we also have this snare element here, 707. With an OTT in the back. Yeah, and this one is really helping to make that thing cut through in the mix. So why is this OTT here? Listen to this part. It's quite hard to even hear that. Now let's put this on. And there it is. So emphasizing on the high frequencies so to make it cut through in the mix. So these types of snare fills as well. We had this drum rack here with some bongo sounds. And yeah, these are our main elements for this Afro house type groove here. Super interesting, in my opinion, to see how to figure out these drum grooves here. And as mentioned before, you can check the link in the description to this pack. It's a full production kit with 3 templates, a sample pack with loops, like hi-hat loops, melodic loops. Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one we're using here, and many more, and also shaker loops. And percussion loops. So this is really something else here. It also contains one-shots and MIDI files and presets. So feel free to check that out. Link in the description. Leave a comment below if you want to learn more, or if we should cover something more in depth from this type of track. Really comment below the video, because that really helps our channel. Also leave a like, hit the notification bell, subscribe, and I hope you like this little session, and see you soon.